A pleasant good morning to everyone and welcome once again to another edition of the Coles Brown Show. Heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's guest menu looks like this. Roman Banks, the Director of Athletics at Southern University. He joins me in hour number one to talk about Southern University athletics, and also we'll get right into it with him. Get his perspective on what happened as far as the Southwestern Athletic Conference, the official statement regarding Alcorn State University football opting out of the spring. We'll also take a look at the official statement. Then, following Coach Roman Banks, we'll visit with Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. He'll stop by and talk to us about HBCU football, among other things, and perhaps even a preview of Jackson State and Edward Waters, and a look at Southern University taking on Alabama State by this time next week. We'll have the results. Truly interesting. And then last but not least, Coach Van Pettaway, the Coles Brown Show's basketball analyst, take a look at the Southwestern Athletic Conference as far as basketball. And I'm just going to tell you now, games have been moved around all over the place. But we'll hear what Coach Pettaway has to say. Here's simply what's trending on the Coles Brown Show. The SWAC issues a statement regarding Alcorn State football. We'll get into that very shortly. Also, NBA TV set to televise Grambling State at Jackson State, a doubleheader. That's the first, NBA TV. And also, the SWAC highlights the preseason baseball selection. It'd be interesting to see where your team is predicted to finish. It's going to be interesting. So, Roman Banks in hour number one, Brandon B.J. Jones and Coach Pettaway in hour number two. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who has been affected by winter storm. It has been a brutal week. As I'm aging gracefully, I really don't care for cold weather, but it's all about adapting and handling some adversity. And the Deep South is just not built for this kind of cold weather. If you're living up north, God bless you. I guess I could do it. I can adapt if I had to, but I just don't like it. In the great state, the neighbor here of Louisiana, Texas, thoughts and prayers also go out to just a horrific situation. Of course, I checked on everyone I knew in the state of Texas, and they were doing better. We'll put it that way. Remember, you can join in on the conversation via the Coles Brown Show Facebook app. Also, on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Twitter at franchise_show. Instagram, Coles_Brown_show. And remember, donations are always accepted here via Cash App at the Coles Brown Show. And, of course, that's open 24/7. We appreciate everyone who has contributed via donations. That shows that you at least appreciate what the Coles Brown Show is trying to do. Roman Banks, Brandon B.J. Jones, Coach Pettaway. In the guest menu, SWAC issued a statement regarding Alcorn State football. NBA TV set to televise Grambling State at Jackson State in doubleheader. Jackson State you should enjoy all this publicity that you're getting. Simply that. And the SWAC highlights the preseason baseball selection. Interesting preseason selections. We'll get into all of that. Dr. Prince, as always, let me see how you're doing. And I did reach out to you this week via text message, and you were and you and yours were doing okay in just a horrific winter storm. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning, sir, and how are you and your queen?
Doing well in the franchise kingdom.
Yes, sir.
I knew you would like that one.
We're thawing out here. A rough week. Being that I was from St. Louis, grew up in these kind of temperatures, but not anything like this since I've been in Texas since 1988. And it was a very sombering time. Makes you thankful for a roof, makes you thankful for family, it makes you thankful for having something other than nothing.
Yeah. Well put, well stated, because, just seeing it via CNN or other news outlets, my heart, it was out there for our neighbors to the west, the great state of Texas. And, hopefully lessons have been learned, and I'll put it that way, as far as the infrastructure and the grid, and tough situation, even here in Louisiana, rolling blackouts, just tough. So today, it's going to be in the upper 50s here in Baton Rouge. What a pleasant weather, beautiful.
That sounds like a heat wave, man.
Right. Well, I'll take it. Trust me, I'll take it. But once again, our thoughts and prayers out to everyone as they continue to go through.
Yes, sir.
Mother Nature and climate change.
And
global warming, it's real. I'll just say that.
It could have been even worse. And that's what you have to be mindful for and thankful of. It could have absolutely been worse. There was a stint in my stay here in Texas where I was homeless for 6 months. And I could not have imagined being homeless in these past week's conditions. But someone was homeless this week. And you pray that they were able to find shelter, some warmth, and some serenity in such a horrible time. So like I said, it could have been a lot worse. You count it up for what it is, and you make the most out of it, and you say, hopefully lessons have been learned.
Yeah. Amen. Well, over the past 2 weeks, the Southwestern Athletic Conference was formally notified of Alcorn State University's intent to opt out of the spring 2021 football season slated to start on February 21st. And this is an official statement from the Southwestern Athletic Conference. As a result, the conference office attempted to reschedule games that were subsequently lost due to this decision, but based upon the uniqueness related to the spring season scheduling model, the league was unable to reschedule any of the contests that were impacted. Consequently, the conference office applied the previously agreed upon football policies related to game cancellations and rescheduling. In order to ensure overall equality and cohesiveness with the spring football schedule, all Alcorn State Conference games for the spring season will be considered no contest forfeitures, with wins being awarded to Alcorn State scheduled opponents. Conference policy states that a member institution that is unable to participate in all or in part of the designated Southwestern Athletic Conference schedule shall forfeit all impacted games. The conference office will also adjust the fall football schedule to include away contests for Alcorn State at Southern University and Mississippi Valley State University. Additionally, the league will adjust future football scheduling to include an Alcorn State contest at Alabama A&M University in order to fulfill conference scheduling requirements within the league's 10-year schedule. The Southwestern Athletic Conference remains collectively committed to providing its student athletes with the opportunity to compete in intercollegiate sports activities in environments that prioritize their overall health, safety and mental well-being. And that is the official statement from the Southwestern Athletic Conference. At about 10:40-ish, Coach Banks will join me, and, of course, we'll get his perspective, Southern University's perspective, as related to the conference issuing the statement, and we'll get into several things with Coach Banks. But the conference has given its statement, its official statement, and boy, on social media, as always, it's always spicy, if I can use that word. And with that being said, Southern University gets a victory in the spring, and of course everybody's on there. And here's where the spicy part comes in. On social media, Alcorn State supporters, alums, basically from what I read, their comments was, well, the streak is over. They had to win it that way because they weren't going to get it done on the field. So I was like, ha, 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 hardy, ha, ha. And personally, the conference, and from the official statement, this was the protocol that was put in place, and everyone knew this going in. If for some reason something happens, this is the action that's going to be taken. Now, personally, I would love to have seen the streak end on the field, the competitive guy I am, not that I'm out there playing. But the fan part of me, hey, I want to see it on the field. You'll get an opportunity in the fall, but the statement has been issued. It's done with, and now everyone can have their opinions about it. The fact is, the conference statement is self-explanatory. How do you feel about that, listening audience? Conference did what it had to do. Alcorn State opted out. COVID-19 was a reason? Nah, wasn't a reason. Strength and conditioning coach, hired one, trainer, quit the program in December. There's internal strife going on. It's no secret. Everyone knows about it. Director of Athletics at Alcorn State, Mr. Horn, he's a marked man. Alumni upset. It is just a political mess at Alcorn State. And guess what? It happens all over the place. But that is the reason why they opt out. They weren't in physical condition, enough physical condition. The players, and also let me say this, the players wanted to opt out as well. They went to their football coach and expressed their desire to not to play. So they made their decision. That was their choice, and you have to live by the decision. We got into it a little bit last week, but once again, I'll offer you the opportunity, Alcornites. I want to hear from you if you care to do so. And again, you can make your comments known via the email, carlosbrownshow@gmail.com, or I have the Carlos Brown Show Facebook page messenger app open. You can tell me how you feel about that. But from a competitive standpoint, guess what? Alcorn, we'll still see you in the fall, and we'll see you at Mumford Stadium. Let's see. Getting messages in already. I don't believe the forfeit was ruled from beginning. I think they used old pre-COVID rules of if you can't play, it's a forfeit. Just appease Manor and Southern with most they could do. I want to ask Coach Banks about that because he has taken, from a social media standpoint, he has been taking some hits. Dr. Prince, what do you think?
Well, when you listen to the statement, the commissioner had already stated that he had to go back prior to this COVID situation to go to the adjusted rules, and because Alcorn would not be committed to play, they would, warrant forfeits. So I personally, I don't really think about it that much. This might sound selfish. I'm just trying to make sure the Prairie View do something of substance. I really am. I don't put a whole bunch into this spring season. I really don't, because to me it's going to be a glorified spring session, like your purple and gold or your blue and gold game for your spring games. You might get half the games that are scheduled to play. So I think this is more like a glorified spring game. The real rubber is going to meet the road come the fall, and let the dust settle and let the chips fall where they may, and let's pick it up then. They did what they had to do. They had to make the statement because of the situation, obviously. A lot of people were in uproar. A lot of people say that Alcorn should have been fined, and shouldn't even be practicing. And, you could argue one way or the other. But when the dust settles, man, I don't think it was because Alcorn was intimidated by anyone. They've been beating up on any and everybody that lined up in front of them. So I thought that was a little out there, to say, well, they're intimidated. By who? And for what? They are still, the top dog until proven otherwise. I don't care who we have coming through the portals, who we have signed up as new coaches, who we have signed up with transfers and signing classes. Alcorn is the team to beat until proven otherwise. They just had some massive internal problems which led to all of this.
Well, Michael on Alcornite says, who want the smoke? You will get it at our second home, Baton Rouge.
Brother Michael hadn't lost his swag, huh?
No, and from a competitive standpoint in the fall, I think talking to different personalities, the fall will be weighed more heavily, in my humble opinion.
Right.
When I talk with Brandon B.J. Jones, is there a possibility that there will be some sloppy play, for lack of a better term, going in the spring, because they've been off quite a while? There is a difference between being in shape and football shape. So it will be an adjustment period. And by the way, speaking of that, if time permits, got a chance to look at some schedules are coming out for the fall. Bethune Cookman schedule has come out. Hopefully we'll get a chance to look at that. How about Grambling State, Alcorn, and FAMU to end your football season? And then the open date before then, and then Jackson State open date, Alcorn, Grambling, and FAMU. So it goes to the point that's been said numerous times. It is going to be a battle every week, and you're not going to be able to take a week off at all. You'll have an open date, and even then, you're going to be working your tail off and also getting some rest. But waiting for the other institutions to kind of officially release their fall schedule. So everything is pointed toward the fall.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you actually consider the streak over with this forfeit?
Well, from a personal standpoint, no. I, as I posted on social media, I would prefer to end that streak on the field in battle, in competitive battle.
Technically, the streak has not ended then, right?
Well, they can say what they want. My opinion, I want Alcorn on the field. And if Southern wins on the field, that weighs more to me.
No doubt. I was just checking the post.
Mm-hmm.
Just checking the post.
Yeah. I've coined the phrase "No Excuses Tour 2021" with my arrogant self for Southern University football. no excuses because everybody's going to be playing, with an equal field. Now, I've already gotten some text messages about is there an advantage as far as, I guess FAMU and Bethune and Alcorn. And by the way, from an NCAA standpoint, they are allotted time to practice in the spring. And I understand we played the soundbite last week from Coach Maynard. Coach Odoms had something to say. Yeah, well, but the point is, by NCAA rules, they can have a certain amount of hours to practice. And I put it up on my Facebook page, the NCAA requirements as far as that. So I'll leave it to the experts to see if there is an advantage or disadvantage, one way or the other. But talking to my best friend, and he came up with something that's very interesting. He would use the spring football season as a time to play backups, incorporate them as much as possible, and kind of treat it that way. You know your starters. It's kind of equivalent, I guess, to preseason in the NFL. Brady, Breeze, and them, they're not going to play as much. You get my drift? Their time will be segmented where they're able to play or when they're going to play, and then what? Traditionally, week 3 preseason, that's when your starters perhaps get their most work, and then the following wrap up preseason game, they don't play. Now, will that work in the situation if you did that for the spring? I know everyone still wants to win a championship. They want wins. Southern opens up at Alabama State next Friday. So the following day, that Saturday, if it's a loss, it'll be a lot to talk about, right? If it's a win, it's still a lot to talk about. But you will get much more activity if you lose that ball game. And I guess quite simply, when I'm saying how, you the audience, how much stock do you put in the spring 2021 season? Do you put more in the fall? Or do you expect a championship in the spring as well as the fall? Those are just interesting things to think about. I'll be honest with you. Well, yeah, they're coming in. Let's get some comments here. Terrence, BCU guy. What a way to welcome BCU into the SWAC. Murderous row at the end of our season. I would agree. Marlon says, Carlos, that Bethune schedule is murder. Well, I actually thought Southern's 2021 fall schedule is not chopped liver either. But that's my point, Dr. Prince. When those schedules come out in 2021 for the fall, no one, once again, will have a week off.
Well, you know what? When you brought that up, I was scratching my head. Why is Prairie View playing Texas A&M November 20th?
In the 2021 fall schedule?
Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense.
Well,
that's too late in the
year. If I had to talk to the AD at Prairie View, my question would be, what was the sense behind that? Why the move? Why the date in November? Now, I know SEC schools usually in November, from what I've seen, they will play out of conference, I want to say in November. Right. So maybe that's how that opening came in. And I'm sure it's going to be a financial windfall, correct?
Yeah, $450. I mean, but to heck with all that. Get that game out of the way first part of the season and move on down the road. But I'm just hoping that at November 20th, especially if you're in any type of competitive run or race, you don't want to be playing an FBS Power 5 program that late in the season. To me, no.
Yeah. Sometimes it's all in the timing. Your point is that game could be played in the beginning of the season within the first 2 weeks. Like Bethune Cookman is playing up. The first 2 weeks. And traditionally, Southern has played in the beginning up. Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah, most of your schools on our level play up to get ready for conference play. I could recall Alcorn stepping out. Was it Auburn they played a year?
Well, they did play Georgia Tech a couple of times in the beginning of the season.
This was kind of late in the season. I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was or at least a scheduled game, and maybe it didn't get off. But I just find it very interesting. I was like, oh boy. But it is what it is. You chalk it up, and hopefully you can pull off a miracle that weekend. If not, thanks for the cash.
Yeah. Jack says, as a fan, the forfeit means nothing. My main question is, does the forfeit count against the coaches in both teams and opponents' historic records? It is technically.
It would be. There would even be an asterisk in the record books denoting the unique year of COVID and the cause of the game. So historically, it will go on the record, but it'll be an asterisk by it.
Well, I wonder if there'll be an asterisk behind the spring champions.
Well, once again, historically, it would adjust because it was a spring season, a unique season, and so it'll be a little asterisk. Hey, spring football due to COVID-19, blah 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 blah.
Well, a footnote.
Yes, sir.
But let it show for the historical records. And speaking of records, Southwestern Athletic Conference has announced its 2021 preseason all-SWAC baseball team. You can go on SWAC.org. You can go on the Carlos Brown Show. I posted the link. But let's give you a little bit more information. SWAC East. Picked to win the Eastern Division, Alabama State. Coming in at number 2, Jackson State. Number 3, Alcorn State. Number 4, Alabama A&M. 5, Mississippi Valley State. In the West, and this is where it gets interesting, but let's stop right there. You baseball gurus out there. Alabama State in the East, Jackson State, Alcorn State, Alabama A&M, Mississippi Valley State. Tell me how you feel quickly. Have any, and again, this is preseason. I know will be won on the field, the diamond, the competition. 1 through 5 in the East. That's the way you think it will go? Those predictions? Alabama State 1, Jackson State 2, Alcorn State 3, 4, Alabama A&M, new baseball coach there, Mississippi Valley State. Traditionally, the last few years, where they've been, at the bottom of the Eastern Division, Alabama State. Just a good program. Fundamentally sound. They play well. Jackson State, number 2. Alcorn State, before COVID shortened the season, I saw improvement by Alcorn State. So, Alabama State in the East, Jackson State 2, Alcorn State 3, Alabama A&M 4, Mississippi Valley State 5. Now, here's where things get interesting in the West. Grambling State picked number 1. Texas Southern number 2. Southern University number 3. Prairie View A&M number 4. Arkansas Pine Bluff number 5. Dr. Prince, that West, interesting. I'm going to be honest, my humble opinion. I probably would have went with Texas Southern number 1, based on what they have coming back, and they're just tough as nails. Coach Robinson, my goodness, he is what is a good adjective to put him in? As far as his coaching, he's like that nice deacon in the church, but he'll bash your head in if he gets the opportunity. Small ball, steal. Texas Southern. Grambling State, not number 1 in my opinion. Southern University, a lot to prove. Coach Crenshaw, young coach. Prairie View A&M 4, Arkansas Pine Bluff 5. What do you think about that West, Dr. Prince? You're a baseball guru.
Well, I'm not about a guru, but I do.
You're a baseball guy. Come on.
Well, I am a baseball guy. I enjoy baseball to the utmost. Anybody that knows anything about me know that. As far as Grambling, the only reason I'm thinking that Grambling was selected, and I'm sure Rob does not have a problem with that at all. He used that as motivation. But because of maybe what he has coming back, Cooper has coming back compared to what Rob has coming back at Texas Southern. Now, for the record, Texas Southern has a big arm coming in from Texas, University of Texas, which is the buzz of the year. And they got to play it out on the field. The reason I think Southern is down 3 because the void of Carrick Jackson, who has moved on. Crenshaw, as you mentioned, is going to have to prove himself, but it's going to be ultimately between those 3 from glancing. Not that I definitely would desire for another route with that purple and gold out of the West leading the charge, but they still got a lot to prove. Got 6 players coming back. But it's very, very intriguing about the Grambling State situation. And I don't know, maybe Cooper gave somebody an extra foot-long subway or something. I don't know that he can get that number 1 slot. But like I said, someone has to be first, someone has to be last. So it doesn't really matter. Tomato. They got to hash it out there on that dime.
Well, Varick says Southern baseball is loaded. Carrick Jackson, former coach, went on record saying that this was by far his most talented team. Varick also says Grambling was the right pick at number 1. I said Texas Southern, of course. Varick agrees to disagree on that one. But then, it's interesting, and you can debate and go back and forth your reasons why not. But at the end of the day, it's going to be played on the field. Now, and some may disagree with this statement, what I'm going to make, but I think with Coach Crenshaw being the interim head baseball coach, I think he has a lot to gain. If he can, and I do agree with Eric, this team is very talented. If they're able to put the pieces together and they finish above third, that would be a great thing. I think he has the most to gain as far as from a coaching perspective. Now, some may disagree with that, but this is a golden opportunity for Coach Crenshaw. But and then when you go ahead, you were about to say something.
Yeah, if it were me, and this is just honestly, your top 3, I would have to say is going to be Texas Southern, then Grambling. That's just me, because like you said, Carrick Jackson did have a very stacked team. Historically, we know what Texas Southern does, in particular in the second half of the season. And then Grambling, for me, the jury is still out because they always start off good, but they stumble toward the end of the season. and I don't know if it's a psychological thing or what. And the teams with the most to prove, from my opinion, from the West is Prairie View and Pine Bluff. And to me, Prairie View more than Pine Bluff.
Interesting. Because if you look at Grambling State, and just based on past few seasons, they're more so built, to me, they've had much more success in the regular season, but in the tournament, they hasn't brought them anything.
They are the Jackson State of the West. Jackson State will beat the ball up all season long, play extraordinary, but the challenge for Jackson State has always been arms, especially when it comes to postseason play. And that's how Grambling is. Grambling will score a lot of runs, but the pitching is the question, and the consistency of play on the back half of the season. That has been the Achilles heel for Grambling State.
And I go back to Texas Southern. I mean, coaching does mean something. And had a chance to participate in Black College Sports Network large baseball Zoom preview. And I was listening at Coach Robinson, who, because of the inclement weather, had to call in. But he talked about the way they do things at Texas Southern, their baseball culture. He's still old school. He believes in discipline. And he said this team will be more or so of a traditional team. When they get on bases, they wreak havoc. And some call it small ball, speed ball, and just a mental toughness. You remember those games with Southern a couple of years ago? They were all battles. And to me, Texas Southern exemplifies toughness. It's like if you're in the alley and you've got to get past Texas Southern, you're in for a fight. And that mental toughness. And with Prairie View, got a chance to see the baseball coach there. They have potential to do some things. Their goal is to be competitive and try to win the Western Division title. So when you look at the two teams that will be coming in, Bethune, Cookman, and FAMU, the coaches talked about it's a great opportunity, and it's just going to make it even a better baseball league, because we've talked about it numerous times. This is the sport that can have tremendous success outside the conference. So it will be an interesting spring season, baseball season. We won't say spring season, but baseball 2021 season. And then finally, the NBA TV set to televise Grambling State at Jackson State in the basketball doubleheader. That should be interesting. It's historic in itself, NBA TV televising those games. So how do you feel about that? Remember, if you want to join in on the conversation, you can send me a text message. A lot of you like to do it that way in the Facebook Messenger. Let's see. His author says, bottom line, our ADs will schedule any FBS program any day, any time for the right amount of money. And got another one coming in, but we'll get ready to take a time out. I'm scheduled to have Coach Roman Banks, Director of Athletics, at 10:45. Here's another message. Ralph says, I would put Texas Southern first. Grambling maybe first due to finishing second after 2019. Texas Southern has the coaching. They have the toughest schedule. Texas Southern and Southern played each other 9 times. 7 of those 9 games were decided by 1 run. You're talking about tough ball games. So that's why I would have to go with Texas Southern number 1 in the West. Southern at 3. I guess I don't have a problem with that. Albeit in some publications, Southern was picked 4th. Can you believe that? Motivation? Nah. Coach Crenshaw, when I talk to him via text message, nah, I don't need any motivation. Our motivation is to continue uplifting the baseball program, and the goals are still the same: compete for championships and win. I guess Dr. Prince coming in third or second may suffice to some. Because, some fans love second place. They really do. They really do.
Is that a shot at me, man?
No, I'm just putting it out there.
You just putting it out there?
Yeah, second place sometimes can be not a good thing if you set up for that.
No.
Strive
second place
for championships. Look, compete for championships every year. Will you get championships every year? Will you achieve that? No, not every year. Unless you're Alabama or somebody. But be competitive. And if I'm a new coach and I'm coming up at the press conference, Coach Brown, what do you promise? I only promise two things. We're going to show up and we're going to play hard and compete.
Second place is not bad when you know you're going to a tournament. If you're going to be the second seed in a tournament, that's not a bad thing.
No. But if you stay there all the time consistently, all the time, then you settle. But technically second is better than third, right?
Technically, and third is better than fourth.
Second is better than fourth, and you consistently, and by the way, once again, I get emails all the time, good discussions about what is my problem with finishing second consistently. I don't need to talk about that again. I know you're nauseous about me talking about second place and the value of it. It is what it is. But it's all about expectations. And can you get those expectations and make them a reality? And speaking of reality, I'm going to take a break now. When I come back, I'm scheduled to visit with Roman Banks. He's the director of athletics at Southern University. We'll have an interesting conversation. You're listening to the Coles Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, located in Prairie View, Texas, for news, sports, information, and inspiration 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Reach more potential customers through our sports radio package by dialing 832-213-8824.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
I know that as parents, we work hard to do everything right. We baby-proof our homes, put our kids in car seats, and learn what to do in an emergency. Yet most parents don't know that children could be poisoned by lead paint in their own homes. Lead poisoning causes permanent learning and behavior disorders, and the culprit is usually dust from peeling or chipping lead paint, which goes from the children's hands right into their mouths. Keep paint in good condition in your home, daycare, and other places where your children live and play. Ask your doctor to test your child for lead poisoning and get your home tested too. For more information on how to address lead paint problems safely, call 1-800-424-LEAD. This has been a public service announcement from the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
As a dad, you'll probably spend years teaching your son how to hit a baseball, how to throw a tight spiral and hit a receiver, how to spring off a diving board and hit the water, how to hit a 1-wood and a 9-iron, how to hit the bullseye, how to hit the strike zone, hit a jump shot, hit the open man, hit the hockey net, and maybe the most challenging of all, how to hit the books. But the question is this: how much time will you spend teaching him what not to hit? Teach your son early and often that all violence against women is wrong. For tips on what to say, visit endabuse.org. Brought to you by the Family Violence Prevention Fund, the Waite Institute for Violence Prevention, the Ad Council, and this station.
Come on, hustle, 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 hustle. Get your head in the game. Come on.
Are you setting the right example for your kids?
You need to get some confidence.
Before your child's next game, ask yourself, how would you like it if they copied your behavior?
Ad revenue has declined 15%.
Come on, you need to get some confidence.
Positive Coaching Alliance has valuable tips and tools to help our kids perform their best while keeping sports enjoyable for everyone. Positive Coaching Alliance, creating better athletes, better people.
The station designed with you in mind, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. First guest of today's show, it's not a stranger. He's a man that has been in the news of late, but he's always in the news. He's the Director of Athletics at Southern University, Coach Roman Banks. Coach, good morning to you. How you doing?
Doing great. Good morning to you, Carlos. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. It's warming up. It's a beautiful day outside. Still a little chilly, but, man, this winter storm has wreaked havoc across the Gulf South. Man.
Yeah, it has. I mean, we just keep getting it a whole lot of different ways, and, it really has caused a lot of rescheduling and reshuffling things around as it relates to trying to come to a close of basketball season and get other sports started. But we're in that business, so I tell our staff we adopt everything, very quickly. That's what we're supposed to do. So we'll deal with this problem as well, and it looked like that we're going to be off to some good weather here soon. So we'll have a lot of games going on at one time, and our teams will be trying to fight for their rightful place at the top.
Well, Coach, I guess it's tough, as far as making adjustments, being a director of athletics, but the old ball coach yourself. But if you're coaching basketball, Coach, same thing. How you have to adjust to all these adversities that's happened 2020, 2021. So you have to feel for the coaches, right? They have to adjust, and the student athletes.
Yeah, no question about it. We talk about the student athletes, but the coaches have a lot of responsibility and a lot of hardships on themselves as well and their families. And, we extended our coaches that's on contract, extended their contract for a calendar year so we can help them deal with this COVID situation as well. I just think it's unfair the hands that they've been dealt. The NCAA turned back around and gave student athletes the opportunity to get another year eligibility because of the hardship that they're facing. And so I thought that it was the right thing to do to make that recommendation to the president to do the same thing for our coaches as well.
Well, and that was one of the points that I was going to come to, and we'll come back to that as well. But the Alcorn State situation, and as I pull up the article, from the Advocate, forfeited. It was the worst kept secret. Alcorn State officially made it official, and then the conference issued a statement. Can I get your perspective on all of this? Because via social media, you were a guy that was in everyone's conversation as well. But your perspective, the Southern perspective, your perspective on the conference and Alcorn State opting out.
Well, let me say this. Obviously, I think highly of our commissioner. I think he's doing a good job. And, as related to the Alcorn situation personally, I just think that we all voted from a conference standpoint, all the athletic directors, to move forward, during this COVID season to play, particularly we're talking about football in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been tough on everybody. And we have a policy that relates to COVID rules and regulations. If you got a COVID pandemic breakout, get below numbers and all those things, that you have a chance to submit that to the NCAA for relief. To our conference office if there's a problem, and we address that to get relief. But it's also another situation if you opt out via non-COVID, and that's the dilemma that we're facing with Alcorn. I'm not at the conference office. I don't know the documents that they submitted, but obviously, I just think the time in which they opted out, I think all the institutions in our league are facing challenging times. We all have financial burdens, and it's another thing to have your team facing a COVID pandemic versus if you're not able to hire an athletic trainer or something like that. That's an administrative problem. That's not a COVID problem. If you're not able to run your weight room and do the things that's necessary, that's an administrative problem that all of us dealing with. That's not a COVID problem. And so my concern is that this conference come from a long way. And I just think we on the brink of taking our conference to the next level under our new leadership of Commissioner McCullen, or we're going to be at a crossroad where we go back and say we still up to our same old bag of tricks and allowing institutions to maneuver around the rules of expectation. But it does go a little further. By bylaw, the commissioner did everything that he could do. Right now, at this point, if a team opts out and non-COVID wise, the policy says that you forfeit a game and you have to return games of such. But we also need to make sure that we embolden the commissioner where he can step in policy wise and make stronger sanctions or decision as it relates to these mitigating circumstances. No, we've never been in COVID before. We've never seen it. But we still need to make sure that the commissioner, in case we have some mitigating circumstances like this come up again, that he has the latitude to do more than just what the policies and the bylaws in the past have said. And I think that's the dilemma that we're facing. There's still ongoing conversations. We still have a course of action that we could take to bypass or to, if the body thinks there should be more to be done. So we still in a conversation with the commissioner, and this topic is still on the table, and I think that you haven't heard the last of it.
Interesting. So it was the timing. I understand you saying if it's COVID related, but if it's non-COVID related, that's a different situation. And is there conversations that are going to continue and maybe resolutions passed that maybe some of the procedures are maybe outdated, or is there an opportunity to add some new procedures now since this has happened?
Yeah, so I tell you what, you always want to be careful about giving, a person, in this case the commission, the latitude to do everything on his own. If you got there and won a game, return flips, he say, oh, you turned too many flips, we want to punish you. I think our old leadership, people have been trusting it, and I wouldn't give the old leadership that ability. But I think with the commissioner and what he has done and showed his autonomy over the last couple of years of him taking over this office, I think that he's rational, and I think that he governs well. I do think that there needs to be a change in some of the bylaws to give him a little bit more power to do some things outside of what's been done, whether we rewrite the bylaws and vote it in, or if the commissioner himself lead that charge and say it's a committee. Some conferences have a committee of a few people that the commissioner select, athletic directors that they select, and they make decisions when mitigating circumstances come up. So I'm the first to raise my hand in the room to say that we need to do something of such, so we can always keep our conference and our institutions hold them accountable if you feel like they're trying to circulate the rules and regulations by whatever measures.
I'm visiting with Coach Roman Banks. I still like to say Coach. Roman Banks, Director of Athletics at Southern University. So, Coach Banks, there is no provision in conference rules for preventing Alcorn from conducting spring practice. That's correct?
Correct. So, as it stands as such, now there is the body do have the ability, what you would say, to vote things up and down and take it all the way to the Council of Presidents if that so desires. And so, but by the bylaws and by the policy, the commissioner have used that tool to the best of his ability for what the rules say, as you read and you stated earlier in the article that, you know, they have to return all home games or such, and the penalties that they've been handed down. So that's a certainty. Where we go from here is still discussions, and so the NCAA says policy says that they have the right to 10 days of practice, 10 or 12 days of practice. But the factor for me is that how can you be out for non-COVID and then turn back around and practice? I think that's one of the baselines for everybody. And so that don't smell exactly right if you're saying you can't participate, because actually stats analytics says that participating in game day situations is much more safer than just giving your student athletes the opportunity to practice. And so you are saying that we're going to opt out, you know, because of COVID reasons, but we're going to practice every day and get ourselves prepared to win a championship in the fall while these other teams beating themselves up, get injuries, and have a short turnaround. You know, I just don't think that's fair any way you look at it, no matter what institution it is. This is not about Alcorn. To me personally, it's about putting the bylaws and procedures in place and regulating this where fairness is the forefront. And right now, you just know that that's not fair to any of the coaches and student athletes that's participating in the spring.
I'm having a conversation, visiting with Coach Roman Banks, Director of Athletics at Southern University, talking about the situation with Alcorn State opting out of spring football with Coach Roman Banks. Now, with that being said, Coach, as we wrap up this part of the conversation, you kind of stated that there will be ongoing conversations about this. When could we expect maybe it all to wrap up, as far as if there's any additional, I'll just put it out there, additional penalties that may be forthcoming?
Well, that's I just think that we have to work through that that scenario. I think in our next meeting, the commissioner calls here next week, we would talk about that as a council of athletic directors. And at that time, if we all feel to have the numbers and people feel the way that I feel, there's an opportunity to vote something up to the recommendation to the council presidents. You know, the true irony of it is that I do think that our commissioner is trying to mediate this situation with Alcorn, and so you hope in his mediation that they accept some of the penalties instead of, you know, we having to vote something up and force a hand to come to a vote by the council president. I think that this conference come too far right now, and we on the break of a lot of good things happening as it relates to TV contracts, as it relates to new teams coming in our league. We are growing at a fast rate. TV exposure. I think that one of the basketball games is about to be on NBA TV this week. And so there's a lot of good things that you do not want to break up the momentum that you have and get any friction. And so I do think that the commissioner is trying to do his best with his leadership to mediate the circumstances for both sides. When I say both sides, Alcorn and their leadership and all our institutions of the other institutions in their leadership agree to move forward and accept some type of penalty. I just hate, I'm not against it, but I would like to see that happen first. But I'm not against us having to vote something up, but I'd like to see that first so we can move in the spirit of cooperation. And once again, this is not about Southern versus Alcorn, the institutions versus Alcorn. I think that if Southern did this would be the right conversation to have as well. If Texas Southern did it, I think this would be the right conversation to have. So we need to make sure that all I'm saying is that we put fairness and the right practice in place and procedure in place to deal with these mitigating circumstances. Obviously, COVID, we've never seen this before. It's something different. And I know that everybody say COVID about everything, but still, when we made a commitment to play football versus is not a breakout of COVID illnesses and sicknesses, student athletes have a chance if they feel like it wasn't safe to step up to the plate, and the institutions have a chance to, because it is an opt-out period by the NCAA, allow for the student athletes. And so you bypass all those procedures, and then all of a sudden you get here in the ninth hour and saying COVID, and you cannot prove the fact that it's COVID. And so we know that COVID exists and cause a lot of things, but does it directly cause a lot of things? And to have something in place administratively or to say something is dysfunction and put it on COVID is simply not what this rule was designed for.
You heard it, folks. Talking with Coach Roman Banks, Director of Athletics at Southern University, here on the Carlos Brown Show. Coach, we'll move on. Some other things. I got some questions that have come in, particularly about Southern University. But Southern spring football getting ready to start next Friday at Alabama State, and then the full schedule. We didn't get a chance to ask you about this, so we'll do that now. A very attractive 2021 fall football schedule. My goodness, if Coach Odoms goes through this schedule and gets a championship, Coach, guess what? I say I'm ready to give him an extension. Can you believe that? Well, talk about that schedule and the spring football schedule.
Yeah, we do have a coach that's, that if you look at his winning percentage, and of course you know this, that had one of the better conference winning percentages, in our league. And so he's shown himself to be very consistent. And so I do believe that he'll give himself and his team and a chance to win a championship, between the spring and the fall.
Well, some have said I've been awful tough on Coach Odoms, but, I'm glad you don't believe that, Coach Banks, or nor do you care. Because you have to do as you see fit. But that 2021 fall football schedule, what was the science behind that as far as trying to put together a very attractive and tough schedule?
Well, I think that this goes back to, I think before the pandemic came in, if we would have, had our opportunities to play in the fall that we had, probably, once again, you and I talked about it, one of the better schedules that we have seen at Southern. And one of my goals was to try to get a fifth home game. And so that still was my goal. And obviously, to have a game that's attractive enough where we can feel like that we can get sellouts and great attendance, where we do not have to go back to probably getting 2 game guarantees in a year that only allows you to play about 4 games at home. And so, we knew that I listened to our fan base, and I know that we haven't had 5 home games for a long time coming, probably about 15 or 20 plus years. And so I said, and I stick by my word. If we able to put together a good schedule and get 5 home games, I need people to attend the games. I need season tickets to go up. Because if we don't do that and you're asking for 5 games and we're not able to do what we need to fulfill budgetarily, then I have to go out and get the game guaranteed. And so I think that our fan base like to see certain games, so I try to bring those historical matchups back, historical black college presence back to our campus that I think our fans like to see, a state rivalry. When you start talking about who has the best programs at all levels, that's something that I look upon doing with McNeese, and that's a recruiting war game as well. So these are the parameters that I had in mind that we know can urge our fans and others to come out, where we can have 20+ thousand every night. And if we do that, this department can start growing back and being in a great shape financially, where we can do some other upgrades to our facilities and things like that and take our game to a whole nother level.
Coach, how important is it to, you mentioned McNeese, will the Jaguar Nation see other state FCS programs on the schedule in the future in that 10-year window frame?
Yeah, so we're working on that. Obviously, I think that we have to, not have to, but it's very important that we set our mark as the premier team at all levels. And so when you start talking about recruiting student athletes, we could say that, hey, we did this and we that. We one of the leaders in attendance. We are able to do this. All positive words, and we complete at a high level. And so at our level, if you look at records and stats, we one of the best. So come on and play for us. That's always the message to say of the student athletes. We graduate at a high rate. And so it's important that we do match ourselves up with teams in the Southland and other levels like ourselves from time to time, so we can separate. Now, that means that we have to go by the business of competing well, playing well, and hopefully winning those games to have that type of argument. But I think that for sure that we need to see a couple of those games. I think that is important. Before FAM became in the league, they were on our schedule for a 5-year period. So this is to culminate what we had done before FAM came in the league. And so you get a FAM in Jackson, coming in there. And we're trying to, get others, trying to get Tennessee State and some others to come in. And even a Tuskegee matchup, they got a good program for their level. That's why you see, Miles, good band, good representation at that level as well. So we're trying to get those type of historical presence back on our campus and on our schedule.
Okay. Well, visiting with Coach Roman Banks, Director of Athletics at Southern University. Appreciate the time as always. Coach, a couple of questions and a follow-up with
Can
you.
I say this?
Yeah.
Can I say this real quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
About the schedule. So, that 5 games, we took the 5 games, and obviously we're going to have 6 with Alcorn having to return the game. And so we're going to have 6 games, this fall, which is all great games. And so once again, I want to say it publicly, and you hear me say this all the time, it's going to be important that we come out and support these games, and we buy these season tickets, and we get those number of people in the stands. If we don't get the number of people in the stands, then we're going to have to go back to probably 4 home games and playing teams, a couple of teams a year, sometimes 3 teams a year that will allow us to get those game guarantees. And so I'm saying that because I want to be transparent to our fans and our supporters how important it is if you don't come to the game to at least buy the season tickets. So I just want to say that so everybody can know where we are with that. So I've done my part. It comes to getting 5 games. Now I need Jaguar Nation help to buy tickets.
You've heard it. The call has been made to you. And I was going to ask this question from a listener. next, but I'll do it now in light of you mentioning about the home games. Marlon says, Carlos, ask Coach Banks how the 5 home games would work in limited seating capacity. Now, we're talking about in the fall, or we're hoping, right, Coach, that we're looking at a better situation COVID-wise as far as seating capacity.
Yeah, so we're basing on the fall around 75-90%, and we're hoping to get to 100. I know you heard the athletic director at LSU was talking about they're basing everything on 100%, and so we're basing it right there on that, between that 75 and 90%. So if we're able to get to that point, that'll be huge. Now, we may all be still wearing masks, but I think that if these vaccinations go well, and we're able to smother the virus some, then we're able to move back to some type of normalcy. We'll get back to tailgating and doing some things. There'll be some policies always in place now with COVID to make it safer and probably protect all of us. But we look forward to moving to probably about 90%, if not 100% in the fall.
Gotcha. Varick says, could you ask Banks about RV spots for the Bayou Classic?
Spring or fall?
Well, he didn't say. He must be talking about the fall.
Okay.
I don't know. Varick,
so let me shine a little light. I'll shine a little light on that. So obviously the RV spots are controlled, and there'll probably be a little bit more information by the city of Shreveport, the Independence Stadium, that you can contact about RV spots. They still have a rule in place about limited number tailgating and congregating just like we do. And so I don't know how big or even if they really trying to push that as it relates to the spring game. But I'm sure the ability, and I will try to put some on our website about that. I'll look into that. I'll get with the Bayou Classic Committee in the city of Shreveport about that and put some on our website, some type of update so people could to see that. But we expect to be back once again to that 75 to 90% back in New Orleans. And traditionally what's been going on for years, we hope to have that back in place as it relates to RVs and the social events around the game and all that good stuff, battle of the bands and all that will be back.
Oh, okay. And for the record, he meant spring. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Varick. Wanted to move on to baseball. Coach Crenshaw, interim. I had the pleasure of interviewing him maybe about a month ago. Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity, and this is just my opinion, and see if you agree or disagree, that based on what happens in the spring, or this season, I keep saying spring for baseball, this season, I think he will be a good fit to get that permanently. Am I wrong, or is it just an interim, or will you look to make it official, put the permanent tag on it?
Yeah, I hope to make it official. I think that over his career, he has paid his dues, from the junior college level to Jackson State back here, the Southern University. We looked at hiring a person. Coach Jackson and I looked at hiring a person who, if he got other opportunities, who will be ready to take over here. And it took a while for us to get that person. And he's Crenshaw. When I say that person, Coach Crenshaw has been integral part of recruiting these student athletes that we have that has lended success the last few years to our baseball program. And so I think his pedigree about, being a baseball alum, playing here. His dad played here. He had other relatives that play baseball here. I think he fits the pedigree of what we're looking for. And I think that he's, when I go out to practice and evaluate him and watch him as an assistant coach from afar, he's always been what I think had the makeup to say, okay, you up next. And so because Coach Jackson's departure was quick, we went ahead and put the interim tag on him. to help him navigate through the situation. But I think that we're going to see a lot of success from Coach Crenshaw, which I hope in return that he earns the right, to take this interim tag off of him.
Well, that's kind of what my opinion was. I thought when asked about it, I think it's a golden opportunity. Well, Coach, we've had a chance to talk 30 minutes and probably could go another 30 minutes, but I value your time. But I will offer this to you. Any closing comments about the state of Southern University athletics and the basketball schedule as far as games being moved around all over the place? But the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, so we do have 3 home basketball games starting Monday. Monday we'll have Alabama State. The game that we were supposed to play today, Alabama A&M, is moved to Wednesday. That game Wednesday will be played at 12 noon. The girls will start at 12 noon, and the guys will play 30 minutes after on Wednesday. And then we'll close it out with Senior Day Saturday for basketball at 2 and at 4. And we also know that this Friday coming, we look forward to our spring football opener against Alabama State at Alabama State, and return home for the following week for our only home football game in Memphis Stadium in the spring. And so I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. So I appreciate during COVID, during these tough times, people that invest in buying season tickets for the spring. And so what we're doing, and to be transparent, we're going to make sure that those persons that bought season books for this spring, you'll be admitted in the game absolutely free. So you should be getting emails and text messages from us for spring season book holders. And that's for the campus to show our appreciation of what you sacrificed and help these student athletes by supporting season books. And at that point, you'll be credited, and there'll be credit for the fall, and your credit of your balance will go to the fall for the 6 home contest. And so I just want to make sure that we put that out. Now we also have an opportunity that season book holders, through tough times, we had the opt-out situation. I think opt-out will end next Friday. That's opt-out means the ones that had season books and COVID didn't cause some financial hardship that you could not renew your season books for the spring. You had a chance to opt out, and the opt-out period it ends on Friday. It's very important that if you want your account, your season ticket holders, you weren't able to buy for the spring, that you contact the ticket office and pay your $50 opt-out fee. Because if you don't, Ticketmaster, if we're not able to pay them for the opt-out fee, Ticketmaster will wipe your account off the books, and then your record, then you will have to start all over again. And so I just want everybody to understand the importance of not losing, and this is what we put in place so you would not lose your seats and all your tickets that you have due to COVID, the opt-out situation. So it's on the website. You can call the ticket office and call us if you have any questions about that. But we don't want anybody losing, because of COVID, what you had put in. And so, and the opt-out fee don't go to Southern University. The opt-out fee is where we have to pay Ticketmaster to keep your account current on the system. And that's the only way that it rolls over for the fall. So please understand that, and we look forward to hearing from you all as it relates to your season tickets.
Coach Banks,
yes,
30-second answers, quickly. Listener says, good morning. Ask Coach Banks, can we get ULL Lafayette back on that basketball schedule? And Ralph says, how can we purchase season tickets online?
Okay, so good question. I mean, we can keep going all day, and so we are working right now where we have purchased the online system from Ticketmaster, because we are a Ticketmaster university. And so we're trying to get all that in place. So that's been, and just, I know that that's been a dilemma for a lot of people, but I want people to understand that we could not move any further. When we took over, that we did not have internet at Mumford Stadium. And just a couple of years ago, we were able to run Wi-Fi in Mumford Stadium so we could scan tickets. We wasn't able to do that, if you recall that. And so that was phase one, and that's a big hefty bill. And so these dollars, I have to find these dollars. That's the reason why I say moving forward, being just a season ticket holder, you help me out a whole lot where we can, do the things that you're asking us to do. And so therefore you can put your tickets, we can scan now, come in Mumford Stadium with your tickets in your wallet on your phone. Now we're moving to, was raising money, setting it aside. So we just got the money now where we able to buy this, build onto a Ticketmaster called Artix, what's going to allow you to, to pay online and see your accounts online, and a lot of other different functions, some development things and all that we'll be able to do. And so we're in the process now that I think it'll probably take us 6 weeks to get all that built in and loaded and moving forward. I'm trying to have all this in place for the fall. And so that's a very good question. So bear with us a little bit. COVID, once again, kind of slowed us up a little bit, and we had to put some other things in front. But we actually been saving that money to try to do these things, and that's the reason why I'm very thankful when people buy into the overtime series and into our Jagathons, because these are the dollars that we raise to help us to better ourselves in the athletic department.
Well, I have a special request, Coach Banks. I previously had Dr. Travian Scott on, and I don't know if he answered yay or nay, but I would love to lead in the fall, lead that football team out against Jackson State. You know how I feel about Jackson State. And he did say he would have a tent, the medical tent set up for me, but our line is 50 pounds and counting, so I'll be in shape. Can you think about that request and get back to me? I would love to do that.
So let me tell you this. Let's get you started, put you in the testing protocol, because we can't let people on that field unless they're in testing protocol from this point going on. So let's start getting you swabbed 3 times a week like student athletes, and then start working toward that. Wow, in the nose, that just okay. That's fair. 3 times a week. So I mean, these student athletes have to go, and coaches have to go through a lot. That's a still one sport. And so we have to go through a lot. That's the reason why you kind of see the bands cannot get on the field because of the tiers, and you have to build that perimeter right now. And that's probably going to be going on to the fall, but that won't stop, I think, our attendance. So you'll see some things that's going to be around for a long period of time. But we're going to be able to make adjustments, and we'll be bigger, better, and stronger, moving forward as well. Yeah. This too shall pass. Appreciate the time, Coach Banks. Really appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you again real soon. Stay safe, you and yours, and continue to be blessed, brother. I appreciate everything you do by spreading the word and letting the information out about Jaguar athletics. You definitely a microphone and an amplifier for us, and we thank you very much. And anytime that I can come on, I'm looking forward, because I know it's going to be a lot of questions for the fall. Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing this I'm looking forward to doing this a couple more times before we kick off in the fall. So appreciate it very much. All right, thank you, Coach. That was Coach Roman Banks, Director of Athletics at Go Jags, Southern University. Yeah, Go Jags. That's right, Go Jags. Because our producer there, he loves that term. He really loves it. We're going to take a quick time out. When I come back. 3 words. I'm so sorry. Sorry. It's all in love. We have fun here. We'll take a quick time out. When I come back, I'll visit with Brandon B.J. Jones for about 15 minutes, and then we'll give the remaining time to Coach Van
Pettaway, former men's basketball coach at Alabama A&M. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
The station designed with you in mind. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
At 17 cents a day, you can make a huge impact on our local and regional high school and college student athletic coverage. We provide local talk shows, live game coverage, and much, much more. But we need your support to continue to move forward. Visit our website today at obnradio.com. Click on the PayPal button, which is safe and secure, and become a listening partner today. Will you become part of the Open Mic Broadcast Network team? Visit that website at obnradio.com and become a listening partner today. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Why should we respect our elders, you may ask? It has been common courtesy for decades to honor and respect those that came before you. These seniors have experienced so much life and endured many challenges that they can be beneficial to generations to come. Younger individuals need to learn the significance of spending time with elders and know ageism is an unfortunate trait to have. Ageism is the inclination to think of older people as debilitated and unworthy of attention. This may be a trait growing in the next group of peers, but knowing the wisdom behind all of these elder stories will help them gain knowledge in the future. It's important not only to be compassionate and polite to your elders, but simply show society that ageism is dead. This message was brought to you by FormontGrandSeniorLiving.com, Lauren Gavin, and Open Mic Broadcast Network.
The station designed with you in mind. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Oh, I hear that music. Thank you, Dr. Prince. I wish I was in Jamaica again on the beach with my favorite beverage. Oh, Jamaican rum punch. Okay, let me get focused here. Our next guest on today's show, and we'll appreciate him and apologize. We went long with Coach Banks, but Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. B.J., good afternoon for you, huh? Oh, do we have BJ?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Man, we man, I had myself on mute. Yeah, man. We are afternoon here in the state of Georgia, man. So about 27 minutes past 12. So yeah, afternoon here.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting about 32, 33 minutes and half for you, half for Coach Pettaway here on the Carlos Brown Show. A couple of things to talk about as far as HBCU football, but of course Jackson State kicks off their spring season tomorrow so far against Edward Waters. What are you expecting to get and see out of that ball game tomorrow at 1 p.m.?
Let's see how different Jackson State looks up under Coach Prime. Previously Jackson State has started off slow. Offense struggled. Defense has kind of carried the way. But let's see kind of what they look like tomorrow. Are they still as stout defensively? With Hampton, the SWAC Defensive Player of the Year of 2019, coming back? What do the other pieces look like? And offensively, what do they look like? Is it an improved offense or is it much of the same? I will tell people this. Don't count one way or the other based on what you see tomorrow. We're talking about first football game and over a calendar year. The pandemic, everything going on. You're going to see some sloppy football. So wait a couple of weeks before we start casting what Jackson State is or what they aren't.
DJ, defensively, and I got a chance. I'm going to admit here, I'm going to be transparent. About 4 or 5 minutes of their scrimmage, and then it disappeared. But defense did appear to be way ahead of the offense. Is that going to be the protocol going forward for, as you stated, the first few weeks when all teams put it on the field?
Yeah, usually you'll see the defenses a little bit ahead, just because from a defensive standpoint, at the end of the day, man, the see ball, get ball. What coverage are we in? Am I lined up correctly? What's my assignment? And here we go. As opposed to the offense, audibling, out of this, this formation, this route, this splits, blocking this if they're lined up like this, blocking something else, they're lined up a different way. So it's a little bit more, offense is more timing based. As from a defense standpoint, it's your instincts and reading and reacting.
Physical conditioning and football conditioning, two separate things. Will we see that in the first couple of weeks?
Yeah,
as well?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I watched UNI play last night, play South Dakota State, and then I watched McNeese play last week. Man, you can see the conditioning is just not there. You can run around, you can do all the things that you normally do, but until you are taking live bullets and that, being conditioned to play the game of football, live football, nothing else gets you prepared for it but outside of doing it. So you're going to see conditioning be a problem, especially over the course of the next couple of weeks.
And with all that said, though, prediction-wise, Jackson State should take care of business, correct?
Right. If Jackson State doesn't win this football game by about, let's be modest, let's say 26 points or more, then you're going to have a whole lot of questions. If this is a close game, if Jackson State has to pull a 24-13 type game, there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of conversation that's going to be had amongst those who follow SWAC football.
I can hear it now. If that's the case, I'm visiting with Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. Also on social media, you're starting to see some of the fallout. Offensive linemen leaving, getting into the transfer portal. Jackson State. No surprise, huh, B.J., that you're seeing that at Jackson State, and you may see it in other places.
Yeah. That's, what we're dealing with and what we're up against, especially with the environment that we're in right now, and what COVID has done to not only the eligibility, but the rosters as well. You'll see more and more kids in that transfer portal, which is already a packed place.
Oh, packed indeed. If I could, next, give us a little preview. I mean, I know it's the spring season and COVID and all of the different stop and goes as far as practice-wise, but what should the Jaguar Nation expect against Alabama State? Historically, last few times Southern has had Alabama State's number. Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Will two quarterbacks play at the same time for Southern University? Can they improve on their defense against the run, et cetera, et cetera? Quick preview.
For Southern, it's really going to look like defensively, have you improved in the secondary? I think a lot of people will say yes, just by getting the bodies back, getting those players that they missed in 2019, as well as getting some talented recruits on the field. The biggest thing, can you get that defense to hit on both sides, stopping the run, stopping the pass at the same time? The thing for Southern has been this. Either Southern has been really good against the pass, not that good against the run, really bad against the pass, solid against the run. We haven't gotten the mix of both of those two units humming at the same time. Hopefully that's what you get. I know Southern may be out a couple players on the defensive front. That could be an issue. And linebacker, what outside of Caleb Carter, what does the rest of that linebacker crew look like? Offensively, Southern University, how do you look on the offensive line? The offensive line has been a staple of Southern University for a few years now. That's one of the things that Chennis Berry did, and he did well. He developed solid offensive linemen. So you saw guys who come in who maybe were not as heralded, but by the time they left the university, i.e. Jodeci Harris, then they were solid. Jalen Brents is another one of those guys. What does Southern look like on the offensive line? And are they still as dominant on the offensive line as they have been in the past? Because that offensive line has allowed Southern to kind of go trial and error at the quarterback position and at some other positions because the offensive line has been so well. Running back, Ben, he's solid. He's Mr. Reliable. Also, the young man you saw in the SWAC championship game wearing number 48, whose name escapes me right now, he's back. What does he look like? How does he fit into this new offense? At the receiver position, you lose Hunter Register, but there's a lot of talented guys at receiver. Maybe guys that people may not, immediately pick up their names, but I think there's some talented guys on the outside. The big question: Ladarius Skelton, McDaniel. Who takes the snaps at quarterback? Does the quarterback position get better? McDaniel did some things great. Skelton did some things great. Skelton, what he does on his feet, he's inconsistent in the air. McDaniel, he makes some passes where you go, wow. He makes some passes where you go, whoa. So consistency at the quarterback position. Who do they get it from? So that's what you're going to be looking for next week when Southern hits the field against Alabama State.
And BJ, also practically a new coaching staff. Coach Gross, the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, Coach Marshall, Coach Rollins. That's the intangible. Mm-hmm. They've worked with the student athletes, but now in the game day setting, they have experience as coaches, but their first time coaching together in a game day situation. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're doing it for the first time, so you don't know how kids are going to react against live bullets until you actually get it going. So that's going to be very, very interesting on how that works out. And then Alabama State is a dangerous football team. We can say what we can say about Alabama State. If you look at the way that Alabama State played in 2019, young football team, young group of receivers, young quarterback, they brought back a lot of talent on the defensive line, one of the best secondaries that you'll see in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and a great group of receivers. So Alabama State they're going to provide some challenges for Southern. So it's going to be interesting to see how that ball game plays out on Friday.
Visiting with Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. Now, on the 23rd of February, which is forthcoming in 3 days, Atlantic Sun Conference will have a football press conference at 10 a.m. to address a number of items following our announcement on January the 29th. And 3 words, Atlanta Football Classic. BJ, the inside scoop, what's going on?
I have no idea. I mean, I've heard.
Oh, come on!
I've heard. Man, when that tweet came out, my phone immediately blew up. From guys who cover the FCS nationally, who kind of know I'm kind of in the know from an HBCU standpoint, and HBCU guys are like, hey, what's going on? I've heard everything. Maybe they announced. Tennessee State, maybe they announced that one of the ASUN teams, will be playing against the Atlanta in the Atlanta Football Classic. I mean, it is all up in the air right now. I don't know which direction the ASUN is going to go. It's going to be an interesting day on Tuesday.
Wow, and I have some great sources. I've compensated them well. But this one may be my first challenge in a while. I am going to see what I can find out. But you kind of mentioned maybe a conference versus conference football classic, SWAC versus Atlantic. I don't know, BJ. My mind is wondering about that.
Yeah. I can see this playing out a bunch of different ways. And the Atlanta Football Classic it's a staple for so long here in the city of Atlanta, especially when you had Tennessee State and Florida A&M. That was one of the largest classics amongst the HBCU classics. I know that Tennessee State has been eager to get back in the city of Atlanta, as well as Florida A&M. If you ask people in Atlanta who are familiar with that game, they ask you, if you were to bring it back, who would you want? It would be Tennessee State, and whoever after that would be a very, very distant second place. Like I said, that game, you say that name around these parts, and it's Tigers and Rattlers.
Yeah, and I got a chance to attend one of those classics, and I remember the first quarter, and after that, I don't remember anything else. But if you get my drift, but you're absolutely right. February 23rd, it'll be hot off the press immediately. We'll find out some of those questions, but I'm going to try to find out before then. This may be my toughest case to crack as far as getting that inside information, but I'm up to the challenge. In closing, BJ, anything else as far as football related? Spring football season has started for some, and will be starting in a few days for others.
Yeah, I know the biggest thing with the MEAC kind of pulling out, but then you had a few teams in the MEAC say they're going to try to play a schedule. South Carolina State being one of those teams. It's going to be interesting if those three teams can get that done. And then the biggest thing in the spring is how does the football look? Are coaches kind of using the spring as an evaluation period, which they normally would, or they're going in like a regular season, but then have to look on it from the back end. When this thing is over, you're going to have a short amount of time to get your team back ready for the season in the fall. It is a difficult ask to ask of the coaches as well as the student athletes who will be playing in both to do that. But it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to check out Bethune Cookman's schedule that was released?
Yes, very, very interesting schedule for Bethune Cookman. I went in and took a look at that yesterday. You look at them opening up at UTEP, and then they play UCF. So you have two FBS programs back to back. First conference game in Daytona as Alabama A&M. You talk about a statement. Alabama A&M is one of those teams that people feel that will contend for the Eastern Division title. Bethune-Cookman gets them at home. Game one in the SWAC. Then they go to Alabama State, step outside the conference, go and play South Carolina State. They get Valley and Prairie View at home. Then they got to go on the road. Got to play Jackson State October the 23rd. They get Alcorn at home for senior night. Then they got to go on the road to Grambling and then FAMU. But I am looking at this stretch for Bethune-Cookman, Prairie View, Jackson State, Alcorn State, Grambling, and FAMU. That is murderer's row to close out a season. And that's on top of having Alabama A&M, Alabama State, and South Carolina State on the front end.
Yeah. Wow. Tough. Southern's fall schedule. Tough. I think that's going to be the common theme.
Yep. That's
you're not going to have a week off. You're not going to have a week off, and we're waiting for some official fall schedules to be released. But as always, BJ, it's been a pleasure. We'll have this regular segment coming up.
Man, I'm looking forward to
HBCU football.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to Coach Penway coming up after me, man. He's one of my favorite people to listen to when it comes down to HBCU sports, man. So I'm excited to get off the phone and listen to Coach Penway.
Yeah, we'll give him the remaining time. And by the way, I talked to some Alcorn Knights. They were not a happy camper at Coach Penway from last week. Shots fired, but hey, it's all in love. Hell, I know plenty of people get upset at me all the time. That comes with the territory. But
you still need security down there in Lorman when you go.
Yeah, I have security wherever I go now. Even even going to Prairie View for the first time. You know what? I don't know. Double security. But BJ, continue to stay safe and be blessed, and I'm glad your mother's doing much better. And as always, we appreciate the time.
Man, appreciate you having me. Looking forward to it next week. All
righty. Dr. Prince, you and double security. I guess I won't ask you to be in charge of doing the itinerary when I get there. I just saw the movie about Fred Hampton. I don't want to put you in Judas. It's in love, brother. I'm messing with you. Gonna take a quick time. Coach Petaway is up next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, located in Prairie View, Texas, for news, sports, information, and inspiration 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers, besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Bringing up now, Coach Van Petaway. Coach, good morning to you. Yeah, it's still morning. I'm thinking about BJ in Atlanta time. You're in Central Standard Time. Good morning, Coach.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, man. I'm just happy to be here, and look, happy to just be warm and safe compared to, some of the people across the nation, and especially in Texas.
Yeah, man, it's whew. What did the low get in Huntsville? I'm just curious.
We got down to 8.
What? 8?
Yeah. 8. But look here, we're used to getting the cold weather. What we can't stand, what we cannot handle is the snow and ice.
Yeah.
You get an inch or two of snow and ice, and we completely locked down.
My
they shut everything down.
Yeah, well, sleet and ice here, and the Deep South. The Deep South is they just can't handle it. So our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to everyone affected by the winter storm, man. But I'm glad you and yours are safe. And look at this, Coach. A listener says I got to get you to a game in Grambling. I've never been on the campus of Grambling State, and I'm a native of Louisiana.
Man, that's a beautiful campus. And then I've had the opportunity to attend the football games and the basketball games. In fact, one of my greatest times was when I was the athletic director, and we played Grambling prior to A&M getting into the SWAC. George Pugh was our head coach, and we had a little fun with Coach Rob down there, down in that hole. Yep.
Yeah. I only seen pictures, so that's on the bucket list, and we moved that up to the front. Gonna do that. Grambling State University. Appreciate that, Donald. Grambling State alum, listening to the show. Coach, this weather has played havoc on the schedule, so we'll get right into it for SWAC basketball.
Right, they had to make some adjustments, and that's what my hats off to the conference. They jumped on it right away, and they've moved games around. And on the women's side, they don't play until Monday. On the men's side, the first game will be Sunday. You got the Texas shootout between Texas Southern and Prairie View. And as I told you last week, I'm interested to see how Prairie View responds to the layoff. You know, they were the most consistent team in the league prior to them having to shut down. So I think it might help the fact that they are playing a rival on Sunday. So that should help get the guys' juices flowing, because when you play your rival, you want to be at your best. And so hopefully that is my game of the week on the men's side, and I'm looking forward just to see how Prairie View responds to being away from the game. And then on the women's side, you still got Alabama State and Jackson State still fighting it out at the top. And I was looking over the schedule, and I think right now my game of the week would probably be that Alabama State and Southern game. Even though Grambling is playing at Jackson State on Monday, I still think that Alabama State and Southern, they deserve, on the women's side, they deserve all of our attention, because I think that's going to be a good game.
You know, and that's interesting because, follow me on this one, Southern has defeated Alabama State, so they're going to be fired up. Jackson State has taken care of Southern twice. So that would, on paper, it would mean that it's going to be a good game. But if you had to rank 1, 2, 3, top 3 on the women's side, how would you rank them, Coach?
Well, I'm gonna have to, with the way it's falling, I would go with Alabama State first, Jackson State second, and then my third team really, I think is going to be it's going to end up being Southern. Yeah, that's the way I see it. And I would have picked Alabama A&M. I think the depth is going to hurt them coming down the stretch, especially when they got to play Jackson again. So I think that's going to hurt them.
And on the men's side, I think I know what you're going to say, but hey, listeners want to know your top 3.
Well,
and if you don't say Prairie View, we'll have to give we'll have to give some to Dr. Prince, because he's going to just lose it.
You don't even have to go top 3; just do the top 1, Coach.
That's pretty good. That is awesome. That is awesome.
You just gave him a kiss of death for tomorrow.
Well, hey, Dr. Prince, this season you cannot talk about SWAC basketball without bringing up Prairie View Panthers.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time, Coach. Say that one more time.
I mean, there's no way around it. You cannot bring up SWAC basketball without mentioning Prairie View Panthers, because they are a great squad. Now, just like they're falling in the rankings, Prairie View, Jackson State, and Texas Southern. Those are the 3 teams, that top 3 teams on the men's side. And that showdown Sunday, is going to help separate the haves and the have-nots. So that's going to be a big game. That's going to be a very big game. And if Prairie View can go on the road and come out, look out. I think it's over with. Well,
and by the way, special shout out to Larry Chatterbox Hale, who's listening in. What a great call on that last second win by Texas Southern University. I'm going for the upset. I haven't given too many predictions. I got Prairie View A&M on the 6-game winning streak, Jackson State on the 6-game winning streak, Texas Southern on a 5-game winning streak. Something has to give. Somebody's going to win. Right. Somebody's going to lose. That game is at home. Texas Southern. I'm not going to call it an upset. I'm going for Texas Southern to cool off the still number 1 team in the conference, and they're still number 1 in my book. I must give credit where credit is due. I'm objective, not like some people.
Wait a minute. Are we recording this? Are we recording this? You know we're recording it twice, Coach. We're recording it twice.
Okay.
And look,
because he is actually giving the Panthers.
No, he's giving them that, but he's giving.
Unbelievable.
He's giving Texas Southern a nod, and I understand Chatterbox then called in, and you know you get acknowledged, but that's cool.
Well, wait a minute, Dr. Prince. I give kudos because he's listening in, and he's a loyal listener of the show, and he does a great job.
He does a great job. As a matter of fact, my frat brother. But you talking about because he said hi to you, you gonna pick Texas Southern to win?
Oh, shame on you, Dr. Prince. No, Dr. Prince, because Texas Southern at home, they're hot. Prairie View is hot. Prairie View and them has been off now. Now, Coach Pettaway said he's concerned about that time off, but because I said, then you feel it's not valid. Shame on you, Dr. Prince. And this is in love. Now, this is in love. But I like Texas Southern at home. If this game was at Prairie View, I would give Prairie View the edge, and they're still the number one team in the conference.
This game could be on.
And I'm gonna tell you something else that they have in their favor too. They're gonna be the only show on Sunday, so everybody can tune in. Everybody can tune in to Prairie View and Texas Southern because they're playing on Sunday. Nobody else is playing that day in the SWAC, so that's a great move. It should draw a lot of interest. I'll be there. I love listening to the Chatterbox. He's a legend in the SWAC. He does a great job. I've interviewed with him on several times. Yep. And you know his favorite saying. One of his favorite sayings is offline. When a shot is off, he says offline. He doesn't say missed shot. He says offline.
But don't let a call go against Texas Southern. That's ridiculous.
What are you doing?
That's ridiculous. Somebody call the cops. They're robbing us.
Well, so officiating is tough. Officiating is tough, and they have a tough job. But especially, my pet peeve is I'm at a home game and I'm watching the referee on the baseline. He never can make the call. He always defers to the perimeter official. I just don't understand that, but that's just my pet peeve.
Yep. But it's interesting too, and I think two things that have happened. We've got more games. We have more games on television this year. The NBA is going to televise a game. NBA TV, I'm sorry, is going to televise a game, and I think that's great. And then we got two good teams that'll be representing the conference. So I hope they both play well. I hope we get a good game because we need that. It helps in recruiting. And then just to change, just real quick, with the football schedule, to be playing in the spring and to have that many games televised, that's just a win-win for the SWAC. You get the publicity. These are games that the coaches can use in the recruiting process to get better athletes in our conference on the football side and the basketball side. So I think it's a great move.
Great move. And of note, Arkansas Pine Bluff will face Prairie View A&M live on ESPN. So you got some opportunities to do well on the national television stage, and hopefully they will have somebody will have success, because I remember Southern on Saturday and that Monday.
Right.
And I think that helped magnify some of the outrage by the Jaguar Nation on two losses on national television and the way that they lost. But hey, it's still reachable goals, Coach Pettaway.
Southern is still in the have an opportunity to move up. I think mathematically they can't win the championship because they got 4 losses already, but they can improve their position to get ready for the tournament. You can still win the tournament and still have an opportunity to go to the dance. And the other thing that's ironic, when I looked at the standings, you look at the records of the teams in the SWAC, the teams at the bottom have played more games than everybody. Mississippi Valley has played 10 conference games. Your leaders, Prairie View and Texas, Prairie View and Jackson, they've only played 6 conference games. Yeah. So when you look at it, Grambling State's the only team that's in the top half of the conference that's played double digit games. They've played 11. So, I don't know when you start crunching numbers, what does that say? The teams at the bottom have played more games than the teams at the top. That's interesting.
Quickly, 30-second answer, Coach. Jackson State, not a lot of talk about them. We mentioned them briefly. Legitimate chance to win the regular season?
Yeah, they're in it because they play defense. That's why Prairie View's lead it, because of defense. As long as you play defense, you're still in it.
Well, that will make Dr. Prince happy on that last note.
Both teams do it well. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Coach,
it's only the truth.
It is the truth.
Yeah.
With the purple gold glasses on, brother.
You free, my brother. The truth.
Yes. Well, Coach Pettaway, as always, we appreciate it. We'll get you back at your regular time slot next week. Continue to stay blessed and stay safe.
All right. Thank you, guys. Be blessed and stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right. Dr. Prince, quickly, what do you have for tomorrow night?
Man, we're going to have spring football roundup. We're going to go solo because we got so much to cover and recover. So we're going to be live 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time Sunday night.
All right. I may crash that show in a couple of weeks. I just want to see. Yeah. Well, want to thank all of our guests. Quickly, Coach Roman Banks, very transparent in his conversation. Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. And, of course, Coach Pettaway. Today's producer, Dr. Michael, Brother Prince. Want to thank everyone who tuned in. Continue to keep the conversation going. Until next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. As always, until that time, peace and God bless.